And I had to make a decision that day when the doctors told me, based on the insight that they had, that I could terminate the fetus. Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Just like money is a consternation in marriages, so are children. I was told by numerous doctors after the birth of my first child I wasn't going to be able to have any more kids. I was kind of okay with that, but my ex was not. And if you're married to someone that decided that they wanted to have a house full of little people, didn't know how he was going to take care of these little people, but he just wanted them. I didn't mind, but I was never that little girl that always wanted to have a whole bunch of kids. I was not even the person that people even sent their children to babysit. If you wanted a babysitter, I was not the one that you called. So for me to end up in a space where it was, okay, we want to have more kids. I tried. I did what I could. We went through various doctor's appointments, numerous pokes and prods and all of this stuff to still be told that we had to find a different way and maybe adoption would be an option that we should look at. And I was like, I'm okay with adopting the child. But he wanted a baby that was his own. He did not want to enter into the thought process of adoption. And just like lots of times when you decide to ignore a situation, move away from a thing, what you really want often shows up. For some of us that have gone through a divorce and you find yourself now at the end of it, previously thinking nobody really wanted you. Who would want me now that I'm divorced? Who would want me with these kids? Who would want me in these moments? And then you stop thinking about all those things. Then you see somebody that's cute. Then you find a situation that's a little bit different. Well, that's kind of what happened at that moment for us. We stopped considering, stopped thinking, and stopped fighting for a second, because the last couple of years of my marriage, y'all, was just pure chaos. We had scheduled time to go to get the divorce, but there's a waiting period and you have to wait a year. We couldn't separate into our own personal spaces, so we sort of segregated ourselves inside of the home, which was not healthy for our 5-year-old at the time, but we did what we thought we could. We did what we thought we were supposed to. But then one day, you have conversations as you get closer to the date that you're supposed to go before the judge. Our scheduled date for the judge was in January, December 19th, 1998. My job had their Christmas party. I didn't want to go, and his statement to me, well, it's our last time that we'll ever be able to go to your Christmas party together, so let's just go. Now, here's the thing about my ex. He's very charming, very loving. If you were to see him walking and talking, you think, oh, what would possibly be wrong with your marriage? It must have been the perfect relationship. Anyway, but one thing that he was consistent with, one thing that was really good about his soul, he was nice and kind for Christmas. He actually looked like he was enjoying the moments, and I got caught up. So after the Christmas party, that's the day the justice was conceived. That 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. Yeah, we keep playing that dance. We learn how to cha-cha emotionally if we don't learn how to do it physically. But justice was born. Nobody could really understand why or how. So over the next 9 months of that pregnancy, I was still poked and prodded by doctors trying to figure out how, because before he arrived, I didn't have a period for 18 months. It is difficult for you to create a child when your body says we are going through menopause. And the test that they gave said that you had started. So essentially, my body was not producing any more eggs. So how was this little boy conceived? Now that we've gone through the whole moment of what's happening, I had to make another decision, because in the middle of all those tests, I had an amniocentesis done. You have to forgive me. My tongue-tied moments still show up because I used to have a list, and there's still some words I don't say well at all. So having that test done, they do a genetic breakdown of your child as well, so that you can learn some things and know some things. And it was then that we learned that he had sickle cell. It was then that we also learned that he had the worst case of sickle cell. And they gave us all these different statistics and all these various things. When science gives you proof that where you're sitting, what you're doing, or various doctors with their degrees, with their elements, with their logic, with all the stuff that they have gone through and the cadence that they have been a part of. You like to think and believe what they say is true and sit in that as your belief. But I want to challenge you because it was then I had to be challenged. There are moments in your life when you will have to decide all by yourself where you stand on what you choose. It will hurt. It will put you in a position where you think, and some people may also make you think that you are crazy. But if you believe it, stand on it. If you believe it, move through it. For those of us that are in the situation, having gone through the chaos of a past relationship, and so in my chaos, I had to decide, what do I believe? In my chaos, I had to stand on what I believed. And if you are walking through a situation, I need you to know, one, you're walking through it. So press through. The pressing isn't easy, but here's the thing that I learned about the pressing. The individuals that are able to do greater things on the other side will often get the biggest test. So that step back doing the emotional cha-cha is your testing. I want you to know you're built for it. Because if you were not built to withstand it, it would not be coming for you. Think about that. If there is somebody that wants to challenge an individual, do they truly challenge the weak? So you are built for this. Even if at this very moment you don't feel like you are, stand in it, walk through it, and keep going. If you're standing in the middle of the storm, just keep walking through the storm. There's sunlight at the end. You will get through this. And I had to make a decision that day when the doctors told me, based on the insight that they had, that I could terminate the fetus. I was struggling with the term fetus. And I know as human beings, we go through all these various name changes as we grow. We're babies, we're toddlers, we're children, we're teenagers, we're adults. We've got names among names among names. But some names that we give things can give you a sense of conquering that moment, dismissing that moment, or feeling some other type of way about that moment. I say that to say this. You still have to name what you're walking through so that you can deal with it. My grandmother often said, if you can name it, you can deal with it. So naming my baby a fetus made it easier, according to the doctors, for me to abort him. Now I had to choose. Will I murder my baby because science says it's okay? Will I murder the moment of miracle that showed up in my world at the time that was the darkest? But I still knew that whatever I chose, I had to stand in that belief. Whatever you choose to do, make it a choice that you can live with for that moment. Well, here's another thing. You get to choose again. It's not a choice that you have to be stuck with forever. Okay, y'all, the storm feels like it's getting closer, but we're going to go until we need to stop. You keep making choices. The choices you make right now, make the best choices for you. When I chose to stop naming my child a fetus, I functioned a little bit different. It gave me a different gumption, and it let me walk in the middle of an emotional warfare, psychological warfare later that I would have to continue throughout his life. Because their statement was, if you choose to give birth to this child, because when I kept saying baby, they decided to finally say child. See, when you name something, you make a decision about what it is. And if you speak it enough, then those around you will start speaking it. So if your situation looks like chaos now and you don't want to feel like it's chaos, rename it. Rename what you're walking through. For a moment in my world, I was just walking through the season of discovery. Now, the season of discovery was after my son had been born, and I realized, okay, I delayed getting a divorce for 2 more years. And I had not yet done this, but this is something that I encourage you to do. I learned that you need to do an autopsy on the situations in your life that do not support you. Go back and analyze that. If you can think about what it looks like year by year, write down year by year what you walk through so that you are clear about how you showed up, what they did in showing up, and it will give you some steps and some ideas about what to do in the future, because it will not be the first time that you will have to walk through that situation. There will be a testing. And then the testing is a cha-cha. So how much you want to learn how to cha-cha emotionally will determine how much you walk through this situation and analyzing it. I learned also from my now miracle baby turning 24 years old that the next time I had to make a decision because doctors made a statement still telling me you're choosing to have him. And in choosing to do so, if he has his first crisis before his first month of life, he will not survive. So you're about to give birth to a baby, if he survives to that point, that will die a month after he gets here. Now, if you're going to be around individuals that's going to tell you stuff in your world, choose people that will give you some encouragement along the way. And if you have been separated in your divorce or separation period with whoever you're with in your relationship, see if you need to create new friends. So go back and revisit and rebuild the relationships that previously supported you, because you're going to need support walking through this storm. And recognize that even though you have the encouragement, there will still be moments that you have to do some things alone. This is the piece. You got to stand in the faith of knowing that even if it looks like you're by yourself, that you are not really by yourself. Here's a next level note. Some of you have learned about my next level notes. My next level notes are things that have given me encouragement, strategies and insights that I've used along my life that lets me know that there is a being greater than myself, because in order for you to get out of some of your situations, you are going to have to reach outside of that moment to see things different. When I chose to look at things different, just in the wording, when they were calling my son a fetus, or in the situation emotionally, when I chose to do the autopsy finally on my divorce at that time. When the ex came back around to do the cha-cha parts again in my world, I finally stopped playing the cha-cha dance. When I did the autopsy to discover there was pieces about Tanya that I missed. So get strong in who you are. Remember who you used to be before the world told you you wasn't. Remember what you once enjoyed doing before you may have been like I was, separated. So that when you feel like yourself is being pulled backwards, when you know, I got a vision, I got a plan, I have a strategy, I've been putting things in place, and I still feel like I'm being pulled back. Here's the thing that I discovered at that next point. Because when I went through the next crisis after crisis after crisis with my son, at that point, I had learned enough about Tanya to stand in what I believe, but I hadn't strengthened it. This is why I want to encourage you, strengthen what you believe in who you are. Finally, 4 years after my divorce, I did the autopsy and chose Tanya, chose to love Tanya, chose to be present for Tanya, chose to do things that Tanya needed, and found a strength that it was okay. Because in my basic instruction book before leaving Earth, God was the one that reminded me that he would never leave me nor forsake me. And in that same book, when I was looking for a strategy, there was another Psalm, one of these pieces that I saw in there that said, when you're ready to be moved forward, God usually pulls you back like a bow and you are shot forth like an arrow. Anytime you are feeling like you're being pulled back, it's because it's giving you more momentum, more insight, more strength. So in this pulling back moment, reassess to ensure the plan that you put in place is a plan that you really need. And this pulling back moment, reassure that who you need to be in this moment is enough, because sometimes we can't move forward in a situation because there's not enough of us to sustain what's coming next. You may be put on pause in the pulling back. I was put on pause in the pulling back 4 years after my divorce because I still did not have enough courage to stand on my own by myself without validation. There are things in your life that you may need to just stand in without anybody else validating. And God reminded me then when I was reading that insight about not being left alone, that I was being pulled back to be strengthened. Because where you're going next, you're going to need to know who you are at the core of your being without validation. Because it was after that moment that I met my current husband. So I'm in my new marriage. So there is life after divorce. And in the new meeting, I was just being Tanya. I wasn't concerned about what you thought about what I look like, which is what I did in my divorce, my previous marriage. And when I got pulled back that last time, y'all, the role that you once played, whether it was a spouse, a professional, or full-time parent, that shaped your identity. But now, Everything's changed. And with that change comes uncertainty. What if this is your opportunity to redefine you, rediscover a newer version of yourself that's built for this moment in time? This is your chance to create that reset moment, the identity that aligns with who you really are and not just who the world expects you to be. Register for the Reset Blueprint today. I discovered it looks like I'm going backwards, but now I'm standing from a firmer foundation. A foundation of knowing that Tanya is still loving and supportive. So the things that he was throwing at me, the words of hate, the words of things that some of you may have experienced like I did. Your ex telling you things about who you are that you know is not really true in your being, and you feel like you got to justify who you are by showing up for them, doing extra things, or overexerting. Put the plan in place, and if it changes for a reason. Sometimes it changes so that you can get strengthened. Sometimes it changes because there's so many things happening in your world at one time. You need a break and you won't give yourself a break. So if you feel like you're being pulled back, maybe because there's a whole lot going on and you just need to pause for a moment. Doesn't mean it won't happen. Don't mean you can't get it done. It will happen. And you can get complete. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, TanyaEhood.com. There you can click on the Work With Me tab and see the various ways that we can work with one another. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.